Today, on Figure Friday, we are going to look at some HeroClix. And honestly, I am really excited about this HeroClix set. I'm not always excited about them. I gotta be honest. Some interest me far more than others. The last set was the Fantastic Four one, which was okay. I mean, there was some cool stuff in it, but I'm not really a Fantastic Four guy, and the character selection didn't really wow me so much. Boy, but this set is it's pretty crazy. So I do want to go through the bit. What WizKids did this time around is they sent me a brick of boosters. So the boosters are like the typical way you buy your HeroClix, right? Each box, it's a blind box. You get 5 figures in it, mixed rarities, all that kind of stuff. And then there are always other products that come along with the set. And this time, there's some new things. They're trying out some new stuff, which is very cool. And as I've mentioned before, gambling with superheroes, exactly. But Darryl, I'm just showing off cool stuff. And with this set, WizKids has created a whole new, basically a new edition of the game. New rules, new powers. Well, not new powers, but newly reworded powers. And it's a pretty different game. So as I mentioned in the review of this that just went up this morning, if you've ever been interested in HeroClix but haven't pulled the trigger on it now, and you have any interest in Wonder Woman, now is a pretty good time to get in on the game. So the set, of course, the very first figure in the set is a Wonder Woman. And as you can imagine, in a Wonder Woman set, we're going to see multiple versions of the Amazon Princess. Now, one thing that I really like about this set is that all of the figures have actual like terrain bases, which is not something that we always see. Yeah, it does. So recently, HeroClix went through sort of an evolution in their sculpts. They announced that they're going to make the figures larger and more detail, which is mostly true. But yeah, especially with these new ones, these added bases are a lot. Like they're definitely bigger. So for instance, and I'm going to show off a few figures. So a number of years ago, there was a Superman Wonder Woman set, and this new Wonder Woman set has a lot of similarities to that one. But if you look at Wonder Woman, the common Wonder Woman from that set versus the common Wonder Woman from this set, it's a whole different scale. And again, that the base is part of that, but the figures are definitely more substantial. And again, at the time, this was like, oh, this is a cool Wonder Woman figure, but now it's like, wow, she's minuscule. Now, there are lots of HeroClix collectors who over the years have collected a lot of these. And with these, the sky is falling. I can never play these again. How can I play a game where these two are on the field and just I can't suspend my disbelief. Come on, it's fine. It's fine. Are the new ones a lot bigger? Yeah, they're a lot bigger. What are you gonna do? Don't complain so much. People complain about everything. But yeah, so the set starts with Wonder Woman. And one of the things that's been a little bit lacking in the last few HeroClix sets, bring your daughter to work day. I like that. One of the things that's been lacking from the last few HeroClix sets is a lot of generic figures, generic characters. In the past, a lot of sets have had more of these. The recent ones have been much more character focused, but Wonder Woman, man, this set brings a ton of generics. And it's good and bad. Good because generics are really fun for building out teams of lots of characters and swarms and things like that. Legion of Zardoz. Legion of Superheroes. They don't get a lot of attention. Legion of Superheroes did get a full set a number of years ago, but after that there hasn't been much. So it's cool to have a lot of generics that you can use for all sorts of different armies and swarms, But then again, every generic does take the spot of potentially a character that people wanted in the set. And I understand that. I can feel that. So obviously with Wonder Woman being a sort of a classic hero, we get the World War II Allied soldier and German soldier. So I'm not going to talk about that anymore. I don't think it's necessary, but here you have Allied soldier and German soldier. Oh, you know what? I forgot to mention this in the review. Dang it. But the pose on this guy is really kind of weird. And I wonder if originally there was supposed to be like a gun that then they scrapped at the last minute. It looks like he was supposed to be holding something in the sculpt, and then it was removed. And it's not just like a misprint on this one, because they reused this sculpt, well, mostly the sculpt, for Steve Trevor, and it's the exact same thing. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe there's an item that comes in the set that I didn't get that could fit in there. Sometimes they do that. But yeah, I don't know. It's kind of weird. Yeah, the lighting gets a little tough when I try to bring them too close, but yeah. And yes. Yeah, Rabbit Wombat, exactly. Or something. Yeah, I don't know. And maybe it's from some piece of artwork and it's supposed to reference something. Not sure. Yes, Darrow, I missed you too. I'm happy you're here. Yeah, now, well, we can talk about it a little bit. In the comics, both old-timey comics and more recently, obviously there are Nazi characters in comics. And typically, when it comes to putting those characters into HeroClix form, or really any sort of collectible form, most companies shy away from making toys of Nazis, which is perfectly understandable, and I'm all for that. Some people complain, like, we need bad guys, we want to play bad guys, and it's like, okay, that's fine. But yeah, you'll see things like they'll alter names, they'll make it a little bit more palatable, not specifically to Nazi names and paraphernalia, and also there are international markets where you cannot sell things with anything related to Nazis on it. So another good reason why you don't want to make products like that, because it limits where and how you can sell certain things. And yeah, it's kind of weird to hear some people like post over and over again over the years, I really want these Nazi characters in my little toy miniature game. What are you gonna do? That's the thing. So anyway, so we've got generic soldiers. So those are fun. And then, oh my goodness, all of these other generics. It was a foregone conclusion that we're gonna get a generic Amazon. It's pretty cool. And then in the comics, there are like other Amazons that were in different places, and the most famous of which is Bana Migdal. And I always forget exactly where that's supposed to be, but we have a generic Amazon of Bana Migdal, and I love the sculpt on this one and the details. It's so great. It's kind of hard to see, but it looks really good. So we get 2 different generic Amazons to go with your Amazon teams, and there's a lot of interaction with how Amazons work. It's great. And yeah, I think as Zardoz mentioned, starting with the previous set and then continuing into this one, there are new mechanics with sidekicks and captains where low power characters at very low point values, you can feel them as sidekicks, and then if you have a captain on your team, the captain applies buffs and other things to them, and it's really cool. Yeah, some other place, I don't know. There's a DMA agent, a Department of Metahuman Affairs. And you might look at that and say, wow, that's a really cool sculpt for some generic agent lady. And you'd be right to think about that, because it is a sculpt that is shared with Diana Prince, Wonder Woman's alter ego. And what I love about figures like this one here is is the detail. Again, I don't know how well I'll be able to show you, but when they get those logos, man, I love it when they can tampo print those little logos and they look really good. So DMA agent, a gorilla knight, and yes, that is a knight, like crowned by the queen of gorillas. And of course, as soon as I saw this, I as any DC fan would realize, okay, obviously there's going to be a repaint of this to be Gorilla Grodd. And of course there is. And somebody else. I think Gorilla Grodd there's a prime of it, and it's always so first, when you see this, you think, okay, there's going to be a Gorilla Grodd, and like I said, where is he? Here's Gorilla Grodd, and then the Gorilla Grodd is an A figure, so obviously there must be something B, and I was wondering, okay, is the B going to be Gorilla Grodd with the Sinestro Corps ring? Is it going to be Solivar? There's some other specific gorilla characters over the years, so who could it be? And I don't know. I haven't heard specifically who the other one is. I don't know if it's been fully revealed yet. So we've got a generic Gorilla Knight. And then my favorite of the generics is this gigantic freaking Minotaur in a trench coat and pants. This thing is bonkers. A surprisingly good amount of sculpted detail, especially for a common. There's another version of this I'll show in a second. Although unfortunately they didn't go as far as they could have with the paint. You'll see, especially here on the elbows, like the elbows are worn through, so like that should be the skin tone, the fur. That should be, if it's worn through and it's a hole, that should be this. But anyway, super cool figure, great sculpt on it, and again, this thing is massive. Oh, there's a specific Gorilla Knight. Got it. Oh yeah, I'm sure. I haven't had a chance to watch all of Scott Porter's videos, but yes, I'm sure he got a kick out of the generics. So yeah, and then other characters, we've got Etta Candy, longtime friend of Wonder Woman, sort of a classic old-timey character. This is how she appeared in some artwork and some more recent stuff that had more like a cartoony feel to it. There was a version of this character in the first Wonder Woman movie. Zardoz asks, do all captains buff all sidekicks, or you have to pick one captain to affect your... The captains in this set are a little bit more crunchy than the ones in the Fantastic Four set. Those were pretty universal. The captains would just say all sidekicks on your team would get this power, things like that. On these, there's some like you got to pick a sidekick to get a power, or some things like that. But yeah, and this is only the second set with that mechanic yet, so we're still learning how all that works. Speaking of old timey, here's Sergeant Steel. I have no idea who Sergeant Steel is, but he looks like a gruff middle-aged man, and he's got a robot hand, or just a steel hand, I suppose. So he looks cool. I don't know who he is. His card says that his significant appearance is from Sarge Steel #1 from 1964. So that's cool. And he is also a captain. His trait is, so this one, like, choose a friendly sidekick. That character has the police team ability this turn. So yeah, some of them are more specific. So yeah, Sarge Steel. Arsenal Roy says he used to be a spy before being a S.H.I.E.L.D. knockoff. That's shocking. All right, that makes sense. Yeah, he does kind of look like Reed. I don't know if there's a repaint of this one in the set. I don't remember seeing it, but it's good sculpt. A lot of character in the face, especially. I don't know how well you can see it. Oh, I lose the light when I try to put things too close to the camera. What are you going to do? We've got a cheetah. At first, I thought this was like a classic cheetah, but this is a more recent version of the cheetah. She's got her little bag there. Carry snacks. Not super powerful. That's a trend in this set. Most of the villains are fairly low power for some reason. I don't know, what are you going to do? Sometimes that's good, sometimes that's bad. Obviously, if you want to have like a super powerful villain, you're not going to get that. But on the other hand, you can have more villains on your team, make an actual Injustice League team or a Legion of Doom team. So those are always fun. There are a couple of more heroes. There was a Huntress, and at first I was like, that's cool, but why is there a Huntress in this set? And then actually 5 minutes ago when I was looking through my old Superman... Oh, my rate is haywire. God damn it. Oh, wow. It sure is. Okay, I'm just going to talk for a minute until that stabilizes. It is bouncing like crazy. Hopefully you're all still here and can hear me at least. So I went back and looked at that Wonder Woman, the Superman Wonder Woman set from a few years ago, and there was a Huntress figure in that set. So I was like, all right, maybe it's just a nod to that. The pixelation. Okay, it looks like it's better now. It's trending upwards. It's not bouncing as high and low. So hopefully you can see a little bit. Nope, no, it's bad again. Man. Well, when it comes... Oh, jeez, that's crazy. We have nothing else going on in the house. That is just... It's just the good old interwebs. Well, I'll just hold it here and maybe through the pixelation you'll be able to see it at some point. Anyway, essentially, new Huntress figure. Kind of a cool figure, although the sculpt is a little soft, as is the paint. But yeah, I've always liked the Huntress. I'm always excited to get a new version. It's better now. Okay, cool. And again, if you want to get a little sense of how the figures have changed over the years, and especially more recently, here is new Huntress, and here's that last one. Does kind of look like like a little sister or something. And yes, that's true, Zardos. There are a lot of great lady heroes and villains in this set. Now, contractually, I don't think you're allowed to have a HeroClix set without Superman and Batman. So they... Oh, man, my rate is still all over the place. When I hold something up, I'll just hold it for a while. So we've got... New 52 era Superman and sort of a timeless Batman, but that could be that too. Batman with the super high kick. Kind of a cool pose. We don't usually see Batman looking like that. Man, is that rate ever going to get better? Another interesting thing here to see with Superman is Superman returns us to something we haven't seen quite so much recently, in that Superman is a very high power common in this set. In the old days, especially of HeroClix, there would usually be like one common figure that would be a huge tentpole, like almost 300 points. So there was a chance you could pull that in a sealed tournament, and even if you didn't get something super rare, you might have a good chance of winning, just because you got the really high-powered common. So this Superman is 275 points. You can also play him at 125 if you like, but yeah, pretty rad stats, especially for this set. 15 movement, 12 attack, 19 defense, 5 damage. That's huge. If you know about HeroClix, you might say that's interesting that Superman has charge, not hypersonic speed, and that you'd be right. And that goes to part of the ongoing design development of HeroClix. Going forward, WizKids is playing around with some of the powers, and for certain sets and certain time periods, they are benching powers. So currently, for this set, hypersonic speed is one of the benched powers. So you will not see that power in this set. And there's a whole list of powers that are just absent here. Now, some characters have special powers and traits that sort of mimic those powers anyway, but they're not on any of the ducks. And then the others, if you missed it, there's Batman. Interestingly, both of these characters and a lot of other ones in the set have the Amazon keyword. They are Amazonian Batman and Amazonian Superman. And not only that, but they also have the Wonder Woman ally team ability. They're very much friends of the Amazons. So it gives you more team building options, which is always good. Moving on to the uncommons. Another Wonder Woman. I love this one. More of a retro look, and it's gonna be hard to see, but they did such a good job. Come on, such a good job on the face of these. It's got a great smile, and she just looks hopeful. I don't know. It's weird and it's silly, but I appreciate it. It's true. The faces are across the board in this set. I mean, there was always a couple of stinkers, just mismatched paint, but overall they look really good. Yeah, Linda Carter for sure. I love the bandana emote. So like I said, so this is the uncommon. So I have the common and the uncommon. I did not pull a rare Wonder Woman, but we'll see another one later. And then I'll talk about the play-at-home one. And then yes, of course, Diana Prince. Now there is another Diana Prince in the set I did not pull, but this one can that's great. This one can transform into this Wonder Woman, I believe. Maybe another one. But there are mechanics for that sort of thing where certain alter ego characters can turn into their super version when they're KO'd. I showed Steve Trevor. There are unique versions of some of the generic Amazons. So we've got a Nubia for the Amazon of Bana Migdal, and they gave her a different head, somewhat different paint job, but a different head for sure. And then, again, as usual, the Amazon Warrior gets repainted to be Artemis. I have to admit, I'm a little disappointed that this Artemis doesn't have any of the Outlaws keywords, so you can play her with Red Hood and Bizarro. But it's from a different time, so that's fine. There's this Nemesis guy, and I got to admit, I had to look up who Nemesis was. Black Cavalier, good question. So this was from a brick, so it's 10 boosters. Yeah, 10 boosters, so 50 figures in total. A bunch of repeats of the commons, a couple of repeats among my uncommons. So this is Nemesis. He was in the Department of Metahuman Affairs, and he was in the Suicide Squad for a little while. Even though this figure does not have the Suicide Squad keyword, which everybody is already complaining about, because this is probably the only Nemesis we'll ever get. But what are you gonna do? Yeah, Erdens. That's what I thought at first. He's actually a good guy. Like I said, I don't know that much more about it. At this level, we get, like I said, we get the specific Minotaur character, Ferdinand the Minotaur. Yep. He's a chef at the Themysciran embassy. That's a whole thing. And yes, there's that famous line in the comics that he says he's from Kirathos, so he's a Kiratar, not a Minotaur. But it's like that's not what Minotaur means. It's he is actually, yeah, he tries to cook vegan or vegetarian as much as possible. It's a thing from the comics. What do you want? So anyway, that's Ferdinand. Donna Troy's got to show up at some point if you're going to have a Wonder Woman related set. So this is obviously one of the later, the secondary costumes of Donna Troy when she went off on her own. This is an A. There is a Prime version in her sort of classic red costume, which looks pretty cool. But it's a good figure. She's leaning way back there. It's got to be bad on the back, but she looks good. We've got a Mary Shazam. I don't like that. She's Mary Marvel. Come on. Simple but really good, really well executed with all the flowing capes and things. There are multiple Mary Shazams in this set. There's a super rare version that I did not pull that just looks really, really cool. Although this one, 100 points, and she is tough. This is definitely a power uncommon.
Is that Mary? She's a regular girl.
Mm-hmm. So we have a bunch of little kid, like baby and little kid books that are comic book related. DC Comics has a range of really good little kid books, and one of them is called, I think the book is called Girl Power, and it's about and it talks about just different lady characters from the DC universe. Each one gets their own page. The art is really cute. So Mary is in that book, and the wording is a little odd on her page and always stuck with us. And it says, that Mary is an ordinary girl most of the time, but if she's a regular girl, it's a little odd the way they put it. Oh, I already showed Gorilla Grodd. Those books are from a while back, so I don't even know if they had like a specific writer attached to them. Gorilla Grodd is 150 points at his highest level, so he's pretty beefy. Obviously, a lot of mind control stuff going on. People were making fun of this like a paint me like your French ladies pose, but I don't know, it's all right. Gorillas, they relax. Black Cavalier, good question. So in most modern sets, there are prime figures. So in each rarity level, common, uncommon, rare, and super rare, there'll be a figure like this one, and then there will be a prime version of this figure. So it's another figure, uses typically the same sculpt or most of the same sculpt, but with a repaint, and it'll be a different character. So it's like a way of adding. It's a way of adding a more rare figure to every rarity level, and an alternate version of a character or somebody who sort of looks like it, or just another random person that they can repeat a sculpt with. It varies, honestly. The primes are more rare than their regular counterparts until you get to the super rares, and then they're all pretty rare. So like the common prime is much more rare than all of the rest of the commons, if that makes sense. Generally, they're just a pain in the ass to track down. And yes, to save money on sculpts. We get, in the uncommons, we start to get more, well, I guess we had the Minotaur, but we get more mythological related characters. So we have Medusa from DC Comics. And again, people were upset that she's only 40 points, but she's got a dang good sculpt. Well, no, Black Cavalier, and honestly, because they're starting to change how the primes work. They're going to stop doing primes in the commons, so it's sort of an ongoing evolution. Yeah, Medusa's great. Firephone says, "What's a good brick to find that has lots of variety for Marvel?" So the last few Marvel sets have been pretty specific. The most recent one was Fantastic Four Future Foundation, and if you're not a hardcore fan of the Fantastic Four, there's really not much else in that set. It's a really specific set of characters. The one before that, I believe, was House of X for X-Men. So again, just about all X-Men characters. Or no, I'm sorry. It was that one, and then there was a Spider-Man related set. Going back to last year, there was an Avengers set that had a pretty, a wider array of characters than just a really narrow theme. But yeah, as Arda says, I mean, most of the sets in general these days are pretty focused on a specific character theme. So it just kind of depends on what you're into. Maxi Zeus. Now, Maxi Zeus is not a Greek god. It is not Zeus. It is Maximilian Zeus, a Gotham City villain who fancies himself a Greek god. Oh, Firephone, that's awesome. Well, welcome to the HeroClix community. Yeah, and honestly, if you go to hcrealms.com, it's an old-fashioned forum, but on that website, there's what's called the units section, and it has every single figure ever made by set. You can make a free login and then keep track of your collection, figures that you want. It's a really, really good resource for all things HeroClix. Yeah, so this is a Batman villain, but he pops up in mythology related things. He's actually had a few figures over the years, which is kind of silly. Figure looks good. He's a goofy character, but at least that looks cool. And then we have Jason. Jason from Greek mythology, or at least the DC Comics version thereof. This figure, honestly, the sculpt is really good. And it's an awesome dial. He's only 75 points, but this thing he is a mobile flying turret of doom. It's all running shot, psychic blast, invulnerable. Yeah, and then sidestep. He's pretty cool. I like dials like that. And she's what? Jason is Wonder Woman's brother, I think now. I don't know, I forget. Something like that. And then we actually get a real god in Apollo. And was it a brother? Yeah. And then was it New 52? Yeah, and I think the New 52 when they sort of really reimagined the Greek gods in DC Comics into really unique forms and colors, and they translate really well to HeroClix. Apollo is a god who appeared in that previous set I was talking about, and there he is. He got a little bit of an upgrade. Just a little. Okay, I guess in some cases, looking at the new scale and the new versions versus the old one, it might be a little bit embarrassing. What are you going to do? Oh, although I will say that the old Artemis was about in scale with the new figures. Because for some reason, that figure was gigantic back at that time. Turd of Doom. Okay, so those were the uncommons. That I pulled. Moving on to the rares. Just a really nice version of Cassie as Wonder Girl. I really like this figure. It's got movement, especially the way the skirt and the jacket are flowing there. Imagine being skinny. She flies, which is cool. I did not get, like I said, I did not pull a rare Wonder Woman. Although I did pull, I pulled her mom. So I got a Hippolyta here, who looks very nice. Oh, Emily. Yeah, you get Emily vibes from Wonder Girl for sure. So I got the mom. Looking mom-like. But I did pull Cersei in her Wonder Woman knockoff form. And this is a cool toy. Cool figure. I don't know if you're going to be able to see, but camera's not doing it justice. She's got a really good face paint application as well. It's a little harder to see her. Yeah, she's she's no nonsense. 75-point villain, again, not super powerful, but she can do work. She's got a good dial. The rest of them are bad guys. So I got a Silver Swan. Again, a figure that we had back in the old set. Different version of the character, obviously, but Silver Swan. Never read a lot of Silver Swan stories. I'm not super familiar with her. Devastation, a newer addition to the Greek god pantheon in DC Comics. A little character, but that weird, creepy, smashing skull thing. Gross. I don't know what that's all about. But that's Devastation. Dr. Poison, who, unless you're a really hardcore comic book person, you may just know her from the first Wonder Woman movie. And she is spraying out clouds of translucent plastic poison. Pretty gross. She's kind of tiny compared to most of the characters in the set. She's almost old scale, especially if she didn't have that base. But she's also a captain, and she's got an ability that lets her do some cool stuff with the German soldiers. So you can build a team around those. Oh, and then last but not least among my rares is Maxwell Lord, who you might know from the newer Wonder Woman movie, if not from the comics. And yes, he does have the Justice League International keyword, so you can play him on your JLI teams. Mind controller, all that sort of good stuff. Oh, here is a Cersei from that previous set. Yeah, she's been working out for sure. Yeah, right. Zardoz, another reason why they're sort of more generic. German soldiers. They could be German soldiers from any era. Sure. All right, super rares. I pulled 3, which is about usual for Arsenal Right. Yes, he's good, but he could be better. I pulled 3 super rares, which is about standard for modern bricks. I got a Flash. For a long time, Barry Allen Flash was always a super rare. And then for a little while, there were other versions, and now he's back to super rare status. It's a good-looking figure. I have to admit, I am confused and a little bit disappointed with his dial. This figure is designed to be run in multiples. Let me show you the card, because that'll be easier than trying to show you on the figure itself. This figure has 3 separate 2-click dials for 30 or 20 points. And it's a really complicated way of playing him, but essentially, if you have 1 flash on your team, it's a 30-point flash that uses the green starting line. If you have a second, you can play the second one at 20 points and play one of the other starting lines. If you have 3, the third one is also 20 points and play the third starting line. So you have 3 different versions. So it's like your Flash is going so fast, he's in multiple places at once and doing very different things depending on which dial you are using. Now that's a neat mechanic. If it wasn't on a super rare. Kind of confusing about why they did that. There's also some other stuff about this that's weird. Now this was designed by HeroClix winners from the past. Usually when one of these comes out, they'll release an article about how they came up with the idea, what it all means. I'd be very interested to read it, because I think there's some really specific things going on with the idea for this that the card doesn't fully explain, and I want to know more. For example, this is specifically Barry Allen, but he's got a million keywords that don't all apply to that character in the comics. Specifically, Teen Titans, Young Justice, Justice Society. Now, there have been flashes on all these teams, but traditionally not Barry Allen. And then the infrared goggles is a whole other thing. So yeah, like I said, it would be good if we got a little bit more understanding of what this is supposed to represent. The trait is called Team Flash, so I don't know if this is supposed... Maybe they were thinking that this is like Barry recruiting other Flashes to come and help him, so it's also, Bart and Wally or even Jay. I don't know, but then like it should say that somewhere with the names. There's more going on to this story than the card is telling us, and hopefully we'll find out. But again, something where you need multiples and it's a super rare, that's a little rough. But the figure looks cool. And I do like Flash. Next, super rare is another god, Hades. Hades in DC Comics currently is a little kid with candles melting into his face. That's just what he looks like. And then he's got this wall of shrieking souls. Kind of hard to see here, but it's got a lot of detail, and it looks cool with light behind it. I can't really backlight it for the camera, but there was a Hades in the old set. And he looked like this. Yeah, so definitely bigger, but still childlike. And yeah, this one had... This is a rad figure, just because, like, look at that throne. Just super creepy. So yeah, a bit of an upgrade, especially with that wall of souls. No, yeah, all right, that's fair. This isn't the best look for a childlike character necessarily. But I should say I pointed this out in my review, but for those of you who again might be interested in in HeroClix, wanting to know a little bit more about it. In the last couple sets, another new mechanic that WizKids has quietly introduced, they haven't made a big deal out of it, which is interesting, is some figures have alternate ways of adding win conditions to your game. So figures here like Maxwell Lord and Hades have traits, so special abilities that work in really unique ways, and there's a note on the back of the card that refers to mission points. Now this is a very rare mechanic that only shows up on a handful of figures, but essentially it says if you do a certain number of things that only this figure can do in a certain way, you can get mission points, and if you get 20 mission points, boom, you win. You just automatically win. This one in particular, so first of all, the first trait is whenever a standard character within 10 squares is KO'd, generate a tortured soul bystander. And then his other trait says, oh, and he can also do that when he succeeds at leadership. And then it says whenever an opposing character fails a breakaway roll when adjacent to a tortured soul bystander, or a tortured soul bystander evades an attack using super senses, gain 1 mission point. So yeah, it just gives you, again, some other ways of playing. This one is a lot about you want to generate as many tortured souls as possible and then have them swarm your enemies and evade attacks or prevent people from running away from them. And like I said, Maxwell Lord has... You know what? Let's check, because I don't remember exactly what it is. Maxis says, all part of my greater plan. He has stealth, and then it says, at the end of your turn, if a friendly character used mind control this turn, and an opposing character took damage during that mind control, gain 1 mission point. Or, if an opposing character was KO'd during that mind control, gain 2 mission points. And again, whoop, if you get 20, you win. Just auto win for that. So that's fun. And then my final super rare is the glorious golden armored Wonder Woman. Hey Hudsonizer, we're looking at new... Well, it's not even new. These aren't even out yet. They're not coming out until April. Wonder Woman HeroClix. So here's my super rare Wonder Woman with the full panoply. Now well, actually not most, some of the Wonder Woman figures in this set have a shifting focus mechanic. What does that mean? Well, that means that they are all the same point cost. They're 75 points, and you can start playing with this one, who has certain powers and abilities, and then when it becomes your turn, you can swap her out for this one and get access to a different suite of powers and abilities, depending on what you need. Darrow says, a truck carrying toupees crashed on the highway, scattering its cargo. Police are combing the area. All right, that's a good one. There is equipment in this set. So this Wonder Woman comes with the golden wings and helmet equipment. So this is something that you can pay points for and add it to a figure. Or if you're playing a Wonder Woman from this set, they can generally start with one of these for free. Yeah, so there are ways of further buffing your Wonder Woman. Black Cavalier says, a clown held a door open for me. That was a nice gesture. Oh, man. So yeah, first when I saw this, I was like, oh, that's got to be a super crazy powerful Wonder Woman. It's like, no, she's 75 points, but she's got some cool different abilities. And again, if you get the full suite of these characters and you're switching back and forth each turn to get the benefit of all their different abilities, it's pretty cool. So you put those other figures on your sideline. They're part of your team, but they're not on the field. They're off to the side and they do things. I was lucky enough to pull a chase figure. I imagine there's going to be pretty much one chase figure per Brick, I would hope so. There are no fewer than 12 chase figures in this set. My god, that's a lot of chase figures. I scored pretty well, I think. I got Star Sapphire version of Wonder Woman. Oh, Hudsonizer. That sounds interesting. I remember Enjambment back from my school days. So yes, yet another Wonder Woman Star Sapphire version. She's got that cool energy sword. It is translucent. It's kind of hard to see. And then she came with a Violet Lantern, Star Sapphire lasso construct. The only kind of disappointing thing here is that this Wonder Woman is only 50 points. Still very powerful for 50 points, but it's considering the previous version of this character was, number one, a lot tinier, but this one was 215 points. She was a brute, a big old bruiser, and this new one is like a secondary attacker. That's all right. The chases in this set, man, 12 of them. Half of them are from the recent Secret Six. So they're like the dark multiverse infected versions of some heroic characters. Supergirl, Shazam, Hawkman, etc. The other 6 are all lanterns. Green lanterns, red lanterns, lanterns that I really want to own. There are multiple Green Lanterns in this set. I pulled exactly 0 of them. This is the only lantern figure I pulled. Unfortunately, again, all of the lanterns are either super rares or chases. There's a chip that I'd really like to get my hands on. So, what are you going to do? This is fine. Starting with the previous Fantastic Four set, instead of an organized play kit, because there's no real tournaments going on anywhere, instead you consumer at home, can buy a play at home kit. What is a play at home kit? Well, it is an exclusive figure. So this one, it's Wonder Woman. There we go. And yes, this is a repaint of the common Wonder Woman. But she does actually have, it's a little bit of a different style. It's a brighter gold. The skin tone is different on mine. I don't know if it's necessarily really supposed to be, but it does give her a different look. Slightly, anyway. The cool thing about this Wonder Woman is that this is specifically Invisible Jet Wonder Woman, and she summons the Invisible Jet, which gets its own cool little bystander token. And that's neat. Yes, Endblade. There's another very friendly Scott out there who also gets to work with WizKids and do really cool videos and stuff. So you get this, and then you get a map. I won't unfurl the whole thing because I won't be able to show it on here. But there's a junkyard map, which is very clearly the map from Dark Knight Returns, with the final battle against the mutants. You can see, where is it? It's a very cluttered map because it is a junkyard. But there's, where is it? It's here somewhere. On one side, you can see the bat tank. So anyway, that's what that is. And then the other side is Wonder Woman's barn, because she has a barn. And the cool things about these are these maps. They are reprints. These maps have been in HeroClix before, but what's new is that every square has a denotation. so that if you and your buddy have this map and you're in different places, you can play HeroClix and say, my Wonder Woman goes to E21 and makes an attack, and you can keep track that way, which is pretty cool. Because as we're all just sitting at home, but here's a way to play remotely as long as you each have the map. So I like what they did with that. That's neat. Now, that's the base set and the play at home kit. But that's not all. Now, normally, when a new set comes out, there are a couple of additional products that come along with it. There's it's okay, Rabbit Wombat. I just like to talk about this stuff. I'm not urging this on anyone. Yeah, chases are typically one per case. It might be one per brick this time. We don't know. We haven't seen enough bricks opened yet to really know. So, who knows? We'll see. I did not get a prime in this brick. I got 3 super rares and a chase. So we'll see. There's a dice and token pack, and there is one for this set. I do not have it, but you can see things online about it. And then usually there's what's called a Fast Forces. So Fast Forces is typically just a pack of 6 figures. They're all repaints from the main booster set. Sometimes it's just like a different painted costume, and the dials are all really easy to make a team out of, and you go from there. This time there's something different. Oh, I should have grabbed the box. This set comes with the Wonder Woman 80th Anniversary Miniatures Game. That's what it's called. And this is where you get, among other things, the new core rulebook for HeroClix. Now, you can download this on the website, but this is the only way to get a physical copy. Obviously, it's themed to this set. There will be other ones theoretically in the future, but this is your new HeroClix rulebook. It's full color. It's got a lot of comic book art in it. It also introduces things that are in this box, so it's kind of both. It is its own miniatures game as well as a HeroClix rulebook. Again, these are new rules. This is a new version of the game. Some things have been streamlined by a lot. There's different wordings for things. It's interesting. I haven't fully memorized all of the new rules yet. I'm still getting used to how some of the rules interactions work. But this is certainly a nice way of being able to check them out. Of course, along with new rules, there are new powers and abilities cards. And what's really cool in this set is you get 2 of these. So when you're playing, you don't have to constantly be passing them back and forth. You get 2 copies. It looks, at a first glance, just like every other one before it. You get all the different color powers for all the different slots, some basic rules, and then special abilities and definitions, just with all the new versions of the rules. Now, like I said, Fast Forces come with 6 figures. This miniatures game comes with no fewer than 10 figures. And these are all characters that are in the main set. Not all characters that I pulled. So there's a Miss Martian that I didn't pull, a Star Sapphire that I didn't pull, and another version of Cersei. Now, these look, like I said, these are not repaints. They're exactly the same figure and paint as the main set, but they have different dials. And not only do they have different dials, they have 2 dials apiece. How does that work? Let me show you. And these really are a pretty great way of learning how to play HeroClix. So for instance, we have Mary Shazam here. So if you start turning the dial, you'll see a starting level here with Charge and Quake. So that is 102A. Oh, I'll talk about the sparkly card in a second. So 102A. So 102A is this dial. As you can see, it's pretty simple. It has 4 powers on it. Not too much going on. Easy, right? Now this is good for learning, for playing the first couple of scenarios. And then when you get into the more advanced scenarios, then you keep turning the dial. So let's get a little bit of focus there. So that dial ends there, KO click, and then, oh, what's this? There's a second dial, and that is 102B. A more advanced, 10 point more powers, a special power, a little bit more to read and learn about. So again, 10 figures, technically 20 dials. And either one of these you could play in a standard HeroClix game. If you had just a few points left over and you wanted to just pick up a little attacker, you can play this 30-point Mary Shazam. It's not a bad dial for 30 points. Or you can play the 40-point, whatever. So again, every single one of these 10 figures has that. And they also come with these scenario cards. So this gives you a narrative storyline for your HeroClix games. What? We love narrative storylines. And it tells you which maps to use, which figures, at which point levels, and it sort of walks you through. And then it tells you, if you're the hero player, what you need to do, and if you're the villain, what you need to do. And then you sort of keep track, and depending on what happens, you move to different parts of the scenario. It's sort of it's ongoing, at least until you get through all of the missions. I think this is fantastic. New players are going to open this. They're going to be like, oh my god, there's all these rules, there are all these figures. I got to learn all this. These give you story-based games to play. Get to learn your characters, get to learn how things work, have a story involved, and go from there. The set comes with 80th anniversary Wonder Woman themed dice. They're fine. They're dice. Exactly, Zardoz. This set comes with action tokens, and you need a lot of action tokens to play HeroClix these days, because there's no longer pushing damage. It's one of the major changes in this new edition. Something that has been around in HeroClix since literally the very beginning of the game is now no more. You still need action tokens. You still have to clear once you have 2, but you do not take pushing damage for that second token. You get some light objects. You can smack around people with a toaster or a turntable or a wrench. And then some bystanders. And again, these work in the actual scenarios. Oh, and they're heavy on the other side. I didn't even realize that. Hey, you can have somebody with a bench. Or a crate. Or a manhole cover. Nice. I wouldn't want to get hit by a toaster. You get some other tokens that you might need. Debris, smoke, barrier, special. And then again, more tokens specific to the scenarios in the box. So some artifacts and things. And then, last but definitely not least, typically in the past, a starter set would come with a 2-sided map. Not only does this come with a 2-sided map, it's not paper. It's map tiles. There's 6 of them. These things are massive. I don't know if you can tell, but they're thick. They are heavy. The box weighed a ton, and it was mostly these map tiles. One side is an outdoor paradise island. The other side is, what is it, Mount Olympus, I think is what it's called. But these things are intense. There are codes, so they're actually pretty easy to put together once you have them all laid out. They look great. There's all sorts of different terrain on there. I'm very impressed by these. I don't know exactly where and how I'm going to store them, but yeah, they're solid for sure. The previous set, Fantastic Four Future Foundation, also introduced a new thing with the legacy cards. A lot of people are going to love these. A lot of people are going to hate them for various reasons. In HeroClix, just like in Magic, just like in any collectible game, there is a modern rotation. Most tournaments are modern, so you can only play figures and special things from the last couple years worth of sets. Everything past that is Golden Age, which you can sometimes play in other tournaments. Typically you can play them at home games and at stores, but the big things are modern, so you got to keep buying, keep up with the latest meta. What these legacy cards do is they give you a new way to play old figures that are no longer modern. In some cases, these are figures from 15 years ago. So this one lets you play... where is she? This Wonder Woman figure from that old Superman Wonder Woman set that came out in 2015? Yeah, 2015. So when it came out, she was 200 points. This new card plays her at 175 points. And the dial is the same, because they can't give you a new dial to put on the actual figure. But they can reword the traits and the special abilities, or the special powers rather, and give you more. One of the things, they are quite difficult to read. They are so shiny and colorful. You got to really find the right angle where you can read the text. Now, when I do play HeroClix, which admittedly is not all that often these days, I can't remember the last time I played a game that had modern restrictions. I don't care for stuff like that, especially if I'm running an event or a game. Play whatever figures you want. Don't be an asshole, but play whatever figures you want. So the whole modern thing, I don't really care about that so much. What I do really appreciate, though, is give me alternate ways to play figures that I have. That I'm a big fan of. So maybe I want to play this in the old 200-point card version. I can do that, and I can play it this way. Now, here's another reason that you might not be excited about these. These come attached to a brick of HeroClix, and there is one attached to that brick, and it is in a blind package. Yes, that means there's one card per 10 boosters. Now, clearly, if you buy a brick of figures, you're going to get one of these, and I imagine your local store is going to honor that because it's literally taped onto the brick. But if you are just buying a couple of boosters, it is up to the store to determine how these are distributed. I don't know that WizKids has told stores specifically how to do that. Again, things are so weird now with COVID anyway. But these are not going to be super easy to come across. There aren't a ton of them. I don't know if we know all of them for this set. I think so far, all the ones that have been revealed, I think Scott Porter got to show off most, if not all of them. They're all Wonder Woman figures from previous sets, I think. Yeah. If I were still running events at a local venue, my feeling would be that these are essentially print and play. They're all online. They're all on HC Realms. If you have the old figure, download this, have it on your phone, play the new version. I really would not want people to be penalized to have to go and hunt down these cards just to play the old figures that they've had. That might be a favorite figure from literally 15 years ago for some of the older ones. That just seems really harsh to me. But again, that's just me. If you're all about the chase and finding these things and paying money for them on the secondary market, okay, sure. But Yeah, they're so not only are they very difficult to read, they're next to impossible to photograph. I'm trying different lighting setups, different angles for my camera. I just kind of gave up and just took pictures that you just can't read it at all. It's a cool idea, the foil and the color, but it's hard to read for sure. At some angles, you can almost, yeah, it's rough. But again, I like the idea for a couple of reasons, as I explained. So that's the new Wonder Woman set. It is technically, the name of it is Wonder Woman 80th Anniversary, and the miniatures game, and I keep calling that, and it's a reason. It is not a starter set. It is just called the Wonder Woman 80th Anniversary Miniatures game. And this is something I mentioned back with the Star Trek Alliance game that I talked about, last week? That for both of these products, they can serve as starters for HeroClix and for Attack Wing, respectively. But they're not really branded that way on the package. It does say on the back, in a little tiny note at the bottom, compatible with HeroClix or compatible with Star Trek Attack Wing, but it's interesting. I don't know what the marketing plan is for that. I don't know if it's the idea that you want to make something look like it's its own standalone product, or you don't necessarily want to say this is a new part of a game that's been on for years, if that's daunting to a potential new customer. But there you go. There it is. So yeah, if you are interested in HeroClix or ever have any questions, definitely ask me or Arsenal Roy 2K, who is in the chat. He is a super expert on HeroClix. And like I said, hcrealms.com. It's an old style forum, but it really is the best place to get HeroClix information and to chat with other people online. I'm on there, Scott Porter's on there, Arsenal Roy 2K is on there. It's great. Especially the units section. Keep track of all of your figures. All of these will be up there. If they're not already, they'll be up there soon. So I gotta go in there and check how many Gorilla Knights do I have? How many of this and that? You can trade with other people. It's pretty cool. Yeah. So that's that. I was really excited to show these off. Like I said, my review went up earlier today on figures.com. Typically, I have to wait till the Monday after Scott Porter's week of unboxings, but this time I got to do it a little bit earlier, which is cool. Somebody last night revealed this dial, and I was like, oh, I thought I was gonna get to do that chase that I pulled, but somebody revealed it before me. Oh well, what are you gonna do? It's all good. I'm still working on the Robotech dogfight review. It's almost done. I just have to get a couple of clarifications from Kids Logic before I can release it. They're really cool people. They're very interesting to work with, but hopefully that will go up on Monday, and then I can talk more about what's going on with that game. And yeah. Well, thank you everybody for hanging out with me and listening to me drone on about HeroClix. It really is a fun game, and I love the figures. I have thousands of them. Little ones, big ones, on display all over. Man, I gotta chase down these all these lanterns in this new set that are all super rares and chases. Well, at least I have things to trade. Humdrum Live, how you doing? So what's going on this weekend? Oh, yes. So tonight, I should say, tune in on the Ripley Improv channel for Heartbeats tonight at 6 p.m. How many players is HeroClix? HeroClix is typically 2 players, one-on-one, although there are other ways of playing. You can play 4 people at a time. You can there are different ways of doing it, but yeah, typically it's one-on-one. Tomorrow will be the War Room. My guest is going to be Scott White. You may know him as the other Scott in Jessica's community. He's a really great guy. He's way into role-playing games and all sorts of games. He's been playing Warhammer for a long time. We're going to be talking about Grey Knights, which is something that I haven't really gone into too much on my streams. So I'm really excited about that. So that should be super fun. And then tomorrow night, the Home Buddies group stream is Cameron's. So there might be blood curdling. Humdrum Live. I'd say HeroClix is not super complex. Where's the rulebook? I mean, there's a learning curve to it. Very briefly, when you're playing HeroClix, your figure can either move or make an attack if there's an attack available to that figure. And then there are, so you can see, every figure has a dial at the bottom that gives you their stats: movement, attack, defense, and damage. And then there's a little number over here that tells the figure's range. As you take damage, you turn the dial depending on how much damage you took. So your numbers will change. Generally, they'll go down. Figures like the Hulk might get stronger as you take damage. And then you see all the colored boxes. Colored boxes refer to powers that are on the powers and abilities card and tells you what they do. And those let you do cool additional things in the game. So for instance, like I said, typically you can either move or make an attack. A power like this green one here on movement is called Charge. That lets you move and punch as part of the same action. And there are powers for doing random numbers of damage. A power that lets you turn off another character's powers. Powers to increase your own stats. Lots and lots of them. Reduce how much damage you take from an attack. With Wonder Woman, there's a new version of the game. That's what we were talking about a lot here. This new version is streamlined a little bit, so now is a very good time to get into HeroClix if you're interested, because the new version of the game is a little bit easier to learn than maybe the last couple. Is it expensive to get started? That all depends on how much you want to buy. This new Wonder Woman base game is it $40 or $50? Shoot, I can't remember. But in that box you get 10 figures, these really big maps to play, all the tokens you could ever need, a bunch of stuff. Otherwise, HeroClix typically comes in 5-figure blind boosters that are $15 a piece. You'll get a variety of characters at different rarity levels, because again, it is a collectible game. Yeah, and there are different ways of buying HeroClix. With each set, there's usually a Fast Forces that's 6 figures. If you just want, a small set rather than, blind boosters, it all depends. There are different ways of getting into the game and how quickly and how deeply you want to get in. Let's put it that way. But yeah, if you want to see more about these new sets in particular, you can check out my review. I'm gonna bring it up real quick. No, I don't want that button. Yeah, so I write for figures.com, and I just reviewed these new Warhammer items Wonder Woman items, that's the W word I was looking for, that don't come out till next month. So there's a link to that review. And there's also, as we were talking about, HC Realms is a good website for everything you ever wanted to know about HeroClix and more. Oh, Humdrum Live, that's awesome. Yeah, I think HeroClix is great for that. It has pretty much every Marvel and DC character ever, for the most part. Especially if you go back over the years, there are thousands and thousands of characters and there are other licenses too, not just DC and Marvel. They've done everything from Pacific Rim, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, WWE, a bunch of video games, Yu-Gi-Oh, BioShock, Street Fighter, Gears of War, Lord of the Rings, Hobbit, Kick-Ass 2, Iron Maiden Eddie cover versions. Yeah, there's a lot. So if you get into it, you could really, really get into it and find a lot of stuff you want to collect. But yeah. Yes, all of the things I just mentioned, you can all play together in the same game. Even Star Trek characters and Star Trek ships you can even play. So yes, you could build a team that is Superman, the Enterprise, Gypsy Danger, Raphael, Frodo. That could be your team. Going up against Chun-Li, Eddie as the Pharaoh, Blue Eyes White Dragon, you name it. All of those are compatible, point costed. Hellboy, yeah, they're all point costed in the same game, the same powers. Obviously, some are. Yes, Frodo could stab the Enterprise with Sting and take it out. I've seen games where such things have happened. There are also some larger colossal figures that have come out with certain sets. It's it's true. It's true. Yeah, HeroClix it's coming up. It'll be 20 years old in a couple years. Wow, that's crazy. And yeah, there's a lot. Sure, yeah, there's a lot of stuff out there. Okay, so yes, that is gonna wrap it up for me today. Hopefully you all enjoyed that. Like I said, I'm not pushing this game on anyone, but it is cool, and I do think it's a lot of fun. I'm definitely more of a collector than a player, but it's a good time. Also, it's a good game for kids. Teach them math skills. My 6-year-old likes to play. Alright, let me see who else is online right now. Okay. So yeah, big day tomorrow of streaming. And we'll go from there. Alright. Yeah, so let's raid one of the best, coolest miniature painters out there is on Twitch and live streaming, so we'll raid him. We'll check out what Miniac is doing. Friends, thank you for hanging out with me and listening to me ramble about HeroClix. Have a great weekend. If you're not on any of those other streams I just mentioned, if you cannot make it tomorrow, just have a great weekend. And I'll be back for my normal week of streaming on Monday. I don't think anything specifically weird is going on. So yeah, tomorrow, Warhammer War Room stream at 2 p.m. Pacific, and then the Home Buddies group stream tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Pacific. Cool. All right. See you, everybody. Bye-bye.